This is week 14 of R795. It really is week 15 because we're so darn close. We're 48 hours away from week 15. So I thought, why not meet a couple days early and then we're done and people can focus on getting these tasks in. Now, I granted you a few extra days, and if you need a few more beyond that, just let me know. There's no way I can grade everybody's at the same time. And as many of you know, I've been struggling with recouping from AERA. My body was just so tired. And that flight from home was a plane ride from hell. But in addition, as many of you know, my daughter's been in the hospital this week. So, but she's fine and back home in Las Vegas. So that has put me behind as well. So what we're gonna do in week 15 is have you just present for, 5, 6, 7 minutes, your dissertation proposals, ideas, plans, perspectives, theoretical perspectives, whatever you would like to do. You could even use the whole time to ask questions of others of what they think about it. At least one former guest will be popping in, I think, from week 1 or week 2. Mangwan Zhao from Indianapolis will join us for a little bit. I've asked some others if they would like to join as well. So what I'm gonna do is say, turn it over to Ed, if you wanna take 5, 6, 7 minutes, then we'll ask questions, then we'll turn it over to KJ, and then we'll turn it back over to Chen, and then we'll turn to Shishi at this point. So Ed, why don't you take over and I'll let you cruise through.
Okay, can you see my slides?
The effects of self-directed readiness factors on product managers' perception of self-directed learning.
Yes, great.
I think we're self-directing our learning in this one.
Yeah, so what a wonderful conversations with you, Dr. Bonk, and through Dr. O and other people. We've kind of refined where my project is going. So here the key is, obviously I work in a tech company. So my view was there's a lot of self-directed learning going on around me, but I just don't know. So as I did previous projects, I've done previous interviews with some fellow coworkers and found out that they were doing self-directed learning. So it spawned my interest to find out, what factors determine whether or not, my fellow coworkers, in this case, product managers, what factors inspire them to seek self-directed learning. Now, in this case, I'm just doing their perception of self-directed learning, and with the goal of increasing the positive perception of it so that they would seek self-directed learning. So let me.
Right.
So here are the research questions I had. Through my research, I found out that, the readiness factors are what you have to look at. So there's internal and external factors that I'll show a little later on another slide that kind of help influence their perception of self-directed learning. Now, the piece that I have to really bridge the gap is if they meet all these factors, or they have a positive influence from all these factors, what's the likelihood that they're pursuing self-directed learning? And that's what came out based on discussion with the special ed qualifications. We talked about that, how do we bridge that gap and determine how influential these factors are in not just perception, positive perception, but also in pursuing self-directed learning. So here's kind of the purpose. In my organization, we have product managers. Now, the organization itself, the tech company, has over 130,000 people worldwide. So there's product managers scattered all over the world. So they all do similar things. So why would they want to seek self-directed learning? It'd be for stuff like job performance. So our job changes periodically based on whatever functionality we're provided. So job performance, job satisfaction seems to be a good one. Talking to coworkers, they get different responsibilities, so they have to learn different things. Obviously, professional development, if they want to be promoted or move to another position, they have to have more professional development, meaning learning on their own to get the skills needed to go to a new position. But from the organizational perspective, I looked at what self-directed learning will help the organization, one, reach their goals. So most organizations like these tech companies go toward what's called a North Star. We need the most optimal, efficient process and products to provide the customers the best service. So that's what we're looking at. And then professional development, they want to develop their employees also to meet their skills or produce skills that will meet the company's goals. And of course, collaboration, coming up with brand new ideas that will be profitable for the organization. So those all kind of go together. The product
Yeah,
managers do their
that's the
job.
key, right? Profit.
It's profit, but efficiency too through profit.
Yeah.
So, but from a per individual perspective, we want to make sure that we can meet the demands of that job position, and also be in a position where we can also move to another job or another organization where we get promoted. So that's kind of my reason for doing self-directed learning, and myself being a lifelong learner, you know, having doing multiple master's degrees, now doing this program, and I'll probably do another one after this. But constantly learning, and then on my job too, learning additional skills that will help me move to my next position, whether it is within the organization or not, but making sure that I position myself to do the best I can and to reach my best potential. So a couple of things I looked at was self-directed learning itself. And here I've just listed some of the factors that were listed in my research. As you can see, now these are readiness factors. So let me put not self-directed learning itself, but readiness factors. So as you can see, for some of the time is probably a good one. For the individual, do you have the time to do stuff? But time can also be an external too, meaning does the organization give you time to do it? So those kind of factors I've been looking at. How influential are these factors in your perception? This chart kind of shows it in a way. Note the outer ring of the chart on the upper right are self-directed learning factors. The center one is perception of self-directed learning. So how do these factors affect self-directed learning perception, not self-directed learning itself? But that's another topic that I'm still researching to see if I can pull in and get a relationship between. But with self-directed learning readiness factors, there are multiple tools that have been developed that I'm still reviewing to see if I can pull them into the methodology that I'm going to use to review. Initially, I tried to tie this in with my favorite learning, well, questionable learning theory, but connectivism. And the way I was going to use this was initially use the nodes as connectivism, meaning nodes of information in which the individual can choose to pull in to decide to make the perception decisions, such as, is the family a node that's very influential to the perception of self-directed learning? So I've now taken this out because I found that it's not really needed to meet my goal, that looking at the factors themselves and determining if those factors lead to a positive perception is still possible without using another theory in it. So self-directed learning factors will be the key, with the ultimate goal of increasing that perception and leading to the pursuit of self-directed learning. Now, my method's going to be a mixed method. For the qualitative piece, I've done interviews before. So that's how I know that this topic is interesting. I talked to my peers, interviewed my peers that I didn't know were doing self-directed learning. And I found that they were, for many of the reasons I mentioned before. Job satisfaction was one, potential for promotion. But most of these may not line up for the organization. So I'm trying to bridge the gap there. For the quantitative piece, it'll be a survey with a Likert scale and multiple choice questions. But to help part of the qualitative, I will also have open-ended questions at the end of that, which I'll do coding for that. So for the qualitative, the open-ended from the survey and the semi-structured interview combined to get a thematic review to see what other factors may be in play here to determine whether their perception is positively influenced or negatively influenced by other factors. Through the process too, I looked at multiple theories to see how they could be affected by it with self-directed learning. So most of these do support, there's aspects of it that do support self-directed learning and probably the perception of it. But the other reasons I looked at these theories were particularly, I want more product managers to seek self-directed learning that leads to objectives, whether it's personal or organizational, particularly organizational for the fact I'm in that organization, but also for self-development. So most of connectivism obviously was my initial thought, but constructivism, cognitivism, behavioralism, some of them seem simple and uncontrollable, but if for example, like behavioral, if a organization wants us to learn a certain skill, in this case, artificial intelligence, machine learning are the popular ones, then they need to present opportunities that allow us to do self-directed learning. I think that what I believe would increase the perception of it and also increase the number of people pursuing self-directed learning, leading to company objectives. And finally, I did have questions, but I did have there are other models on self-directed learning that I kind of looked at that make sense that I may incorporate. This outer or the two-shell model that I saw was a great one where it talks about multiple components, right? For one, the individual's motivation is key and in their interest. So most of the people in tech company are interested in AI now because that's all we talk about. And in almost every role we do, AI is involved. But two, once that individual is motivated, do they have learning strategies and do they have that self-regulation to actually pursue self-directed learning? So those are pieces I'm trying to improve in the organization. Collaboration is a great piece because as people talk about it and influence other things, a lot of things that we do in my organization are not quite linked to objectives or goals of the organization. And I think my example in my previous paper they had an opportunity to do a course that cost thousands of dollars, but it wasn't linked to anything that was going to lead to any significant gain in the organization. But a lot of people signed up for it and they got certified. Great for the person, but now that person doesn't use it. So I'm trying to get away from that to organizational goals, use the self-directed learning opportunities, now persuade people to actually pursue that self-directed learning. So at this time, are there any questions?
Any questions for Ed?
Okay, if not, thank you. If you do have questions, please reach out to me and if you have a similar interest or anything that can help.
Oh, don't leave that quickly. I have questions. I was just waiting for others. She's got a question. She was just waiting for others.
Yeah.
So, I think before we go to Shishi's question, let's go back to the last slide with the new model of self-directed learning. So is this a model from business world or from the education world?
No, this is I think from education world.
Okay.
I don't have the reference here because I put it as a secondary backup slide.
Yeah, well, we're gonna need a reference in order to, so you can send it to the whole class, just say, this is. You can even send your slides to the whole class, just say, this is the SDL model that I presented at the end, and here's the reference for it.
Yeah, here's the reference right here.
It's in there, okay.
Two-shell model.
So explain again, what are the two shells?
Yeah, there was the outer shell.
Meaning what?
It's a permanent learning attitude. So that of interest and motivation.
Right.
And then inner shell being, okay, you may be interested and motivated, but then you have to actually do something.
You have the strategies to actually implement SDL.
Yeah, meaning you have your learning strategies, control, and you have an evaluation process to see you as an individual where you are in it, and you adjust that as you go.
Right.
So, and then that meets, I think that lines up some of the stuff I'm talking about is you may have a positive perception of self-directed learning, but are you actually doing it?
Yes, operationalizing it.
Yes.
Sure. So that's is that interest and motivation in self-directed learning in general, or in a particular topic that one wants to pursue, like interested in whale watching? in the Pacific Ocean. You know,
Well, I think it can be both, but if it's your interest in self-directed learning and whale watching, and you may have a motivation for it, doesn't mean you'll do it. And that's where the
right.
shot
You
comes
know,
in.
you might like the strategies for learning about it and setting your own goals and all that, understand, so that's internal. External, you know, I might be interested in playing billiards, you know, or bowling or something. Right, but not have the time and not really know how to do, I just watch others. So I might be all excited to watch people play golf, which I'm not. KJ's a golf person, I just know it, I'm looking at him there, you know.
Yeah, I like to golf too.
So, no, I'm just kidding, so. So that's one thing, I mean, maybe the whole article, if you could send the whole class the article, the PDF, even though you're not using this yet. I think since it's new, it's something I haven't presented on, it might be of value. What year was that again? Go to that
Nineteen
slide,
99,
that references.
99.
Oh, so it's been on for a quarter century, okay. So my
Yeah.
second point is, you've coined a new word. Behavioralism. No, it's either behavioral psychology or behaviorism. You combine the
Oh,
two
yeah.
together. That was good. Third thing is, your advisor asked you or suggests you not include connectivism, which is a debatable theory or perspective, as we talked about.
Yes.
This is something even I ran into in my dissertation at my defense, just pointing out, I went through all Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, scaffold learning, all this stuff. I had 50 pages on it, and he just goes, this is really good stuff, it's really interesting, but what does that have to do with your dissertation? Now, today, decades later, it has a lot to do with it, but I didn't have an answer for him. So when you're coming up with a literature review, just as a general point for everybody, learning theories may captivate you, but they have to align with your research questions and your goals and your, you know, what you're attempting to do. You can stick things in and add things in, but you can add things. And they can always say to delete it, you know, or you talk to your advisor and say, well, this theory's got me interested, I might want to include a few pages on it, but, yeah.
Well, I think for the connectivism particularly, I was using it, the nodes were, I was using the readiness factors as the nodes. Instead of just a general reaching out to, as say, Facebook as the node. And then the individual had the opportunity to choose whether or not they want to use the information or some other source as the node.
Yeah,
It's connected more to Web 2.0.
well, I think this slide's really great, by the way. This is a very useful slide for anybody, not just for you. This really is more like P540, trying to make sense of different learning theories, so. I think this slide would benefit everybody, so why don't you send us this slide too, just send us your whole slide deck, Ed.
Okay, I'll send the whole deck in.
Yeah, you know, where's the reference for this slide though? Was this out of Ed's head or from?
It's a combination from different references.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you probably need at the bottom corner to have at least a couple of those references.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, it's all coming from me, so I'll put the references in there.
Yeah, at least at your dissertation defense. You don't want to be called out on this, right? So, but good, it was good. It's, you know, it's valuable. Shishi has a question for you.
Yes, Ed, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So could you articulate a little bit what's your expected implications for this study?
So since I'm doing it in a corporate setting, I'm trying to find out which readiness factors influence the perception. And then from that perspective, if peers are the one that influence the most perception, then from the organizational standpoint, I want them to provide opportunities where peers can influence that to pursue self-directed learning. Such as if a project like AI came up and the company can focus on individuals to promote that, then those individuals will help persuade other people that doing the self-directed learning on AI is a good thing and more people will participate. So having the peers create a more positive perception in turn creates more participation in self-directed learning. That's what I'm trying to do in a corporate setting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else for Ed? If not, we'll move on to Chen, I think, and do a boy, girl. So, well, I was gonna say KJ earlier, but I think Chen, Katie will not be with us. She has sent me a note that her son is in a band performance somewhere, so, I see Karen has joined us.
Yes,
And Karen, did your daughter defend her dissertation?
she did, and she was successful yesterday. She's now Dr. Rachel Adenica. Yeah,
Stanford, no less.
at Stanford. So I'm actually out here at Stanford, sorry. Because I came for her defense.
Yeah, I had it in it kept coming up my computer to attend, but I was in different meetings. It's been a crazy week, as I told others.
Yeah.
My son was in hospital for a couple of days, so I had other things, but she's fine. Now. So congrats to her. What's her title of her dissertation?
The title, let me look at it. Let's see. I have to pull up the invite so I can see it.
Your daughter beat you, so, you know.
Yeah, she did. Well, she started a year earlier too. For this
Okay.
last part anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see.
What was her emphasis?
Her emphasis was using simulations from a cell phone for early detection of diabetes.
Very cool. We don't need the exact title. That's good enough, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
We won't be able to understand the full title. That was a better description. So,
Right. That's
Doctor,
basically it.
yeah, congrats to her. Congrats.
Thank you.
She has a job lined up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, she's going to stay on as a postdoc in another lab here. For a little while, for about 6 months to a year, and then she's gonna get a full-time job.
yeah, sounds good.
Mhm.
She's set and that's a good feeling as a parent, let me tell you.
Yes, yes.
Right, so we'll move on to Chen. Are you ready to present, Chen? We'll jump in here and present your gamification study.
Share my screen first. So can you all hear me for those folks online? Because
Ed, can you hear Chen?
I can hear.
The microphones are up there in the
Oh.
ceiling. The microphones are up there.
Oh, okay, sure, no problem.
Yeah,
Yes, I
just-
can hear.
Just project a little loud.
Okay, hi everyone. So this is my dissertation proposal. So I'm interested in do some research about to explore gamification from online instructors' perspective. So this is the agenda for my dissertation proposal. I will briefly introduce the content of the my dissertation proposal through the background information, research goals, research questions, sampling plan, methodology, data analysis plan, and research timeline. So this is the background information for my study.
Hang on a second, somebody needs to mute their computer. It's yours, okay.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Alright.
It was kind of sounded like it was coming from the hallway out there. Okay.
Okay, as we know that the online teaching and learning in higher education field is prevalent, and this trend is becoming more and more popular ever since after the pandemic. So according to one report released by NCES in year 2022, so the NCES here means the National Center of Educational Statistics. And they realized that in year 2021, over 60% of college students in the US took at least one class online. And almost 50% of all students in the US pursued college classes through online platforms. So as we can see, this is the future trend for more and more learners to choose the options to acquire new knowledge and got the more degrees through the online platform. So as the new trend goes on, as we can see, a new problem also arises. And people realize that online students perceive lower student satisfaction with the learning experiences than those who take the well-designed in-person learning. So in order to deal with new problems or the new issues, people realize that maybe we can do something about how to increase learners' engagement level, because engagement level is one predictor of the students' learning satisfaction. And if we want to do something to deal with the engagement issue of the students, some people think that gamification can be one option. And according to related research, and they realized that gamification has been proved to increase students' engagement level and interactivity. But on the other hand, gamification impacts on online learning is by now comparatively rare, premature, and not systematic. So in that case, my first author study reviewed that different gamification strategies adopted by online instructors might lead to diversified results or consequences. For my first author study, I just focused on how the gamification elements can impact online students' perceptions about the effects or strategies of those gamification, but I didn't do anything about the instructors' perceptions or their strategies about gamification. So this is what I'm going to do next based on my first author study. So here are my research goals. Based on the above information, I plan to explore online instructors' perspectives on how they apply gamification to their online course design, which refers to their strategies, and why they conduct gamification strategies, which also refers to their motivation, and how they perceive the consequences, both negative or positive, of their application of gamification. That is their perception. So here are my research questions. At the very beginning, I came up with 4 research questions, and later I realized that there's not very close logical relationship between all those 4 research questions. So I reduced them to 2 and want to make them more impact and more closely related concerning the logic perspective. So my first research question is, what gamification strategies do online instructors apply in their course design? And the second one is, how do online instructors perceive gamification strategies or experiences in their course design? So next, I'd like to introduce you something about my sampling plan. So in order to finish this explorational study, I plan to interview 12 to 15 online instructors who are active users of the online platform. So these online instructors are expected to come from the different countries, and their study field or their teaching field are within the higher education field. And they have to apply at least one gamification component on online course design so that they can say something about their perceptions or strategies of those gamification. And their teaching subjects are expected to be diversified instead of just limited in 1 or 2 subjects. And I also expect their background to be, for the balanced gender or balanced ethical distribution, so that my research finding or conclusion can be generalized. This is my methodology, because for my first author study, I used the mixed method, and I didn't do a very detailed qualitative research for my first author study. So here, for my dissertation part, I like to conduct a more detailed qualitative study by conducting both semi-structured interview and documentation observation. And this is my data analysis plan. I plan to take the 6 steps to conduct my data analysis plan. First of all, I will prepare and organize the data. For analysis, I plan to video or audio recording those the interview conversation, and after that, I will transcribe them and print them out and read and make some notes on the margins. So as the first draft or first round of my coding analysis. And after that, I will engage in the initial exploration of those data together with other coders. I plan to find 2 to 3 coders to code together with me to ensure the validity and the reliability of my analysis. And after that, I will review data and code places where interpretations are important or challenged. And I will use the codes to build the themes based on the codebook that I built together with other coders. And after that, I will write a draft summary and also invite other external auditors to proofread my drafts until I think everything is done. So this is the very rough idea of the data analysis plan. And in the future, later, I will make some adjustments to this data analysis plan. So this is my research timeline. I plan to get the IRB approval first, maybe by the end of August this year. But I contacted IRB, the office, and they told me that they keep a regular working hour during the summer break. So it probably that I won't have to wait for such a long time. Yeah. So and after that, I will start my interview. And from September to October, I will finish the interview for the 6 online instructors first. And at the same time, I will look for another 6 online instructors. And I plan to interview at least 12 of them to reach the minimum level of data saturation. And if I got lucky, I can interview more than 12 of them, the 12 of them. And at the same time, I will be added to their online instructors online course platform, and I will observe their documentation, their design of online course, especially their design and the application of those gamification elements as part of my methodology or the data collection or data sources. And the last step is the dissertation drafting or writing. I will not wait until everything is done, and I will just start the draft of my dissertation as my first interview has been done so everything will just be conducted simultaneously. Yeah, so that's pretty much of my dissertation proposal. Thank you so much. Any questions?
Questions for Chen?
Yeah, I have a question for Chen. So, can you hear me, Chen? Dr.
Yeah, sure,
Chen?
I can hear you.
Okay, so inside
You need to
folder,
stop sharing, Chen.
Oh, sorry. Stop sharing.
There we go.
okay. I'm quite interested in your research method. Can you say more about why you use document observation instead of classroom observation? Thank you, Chen.
Okay, thank you for the question. So because all those courses will be taught totally online on an online platform. So there will be no in-person or physical classroom that I can go inside and make my observations. So I think it's a better option for me to do some qualitative research in such a way. And also many friends recommend me that if you cannot get enough participants for your interview, maybe this is an option for you to triangulate your data with the documentation observation. So yeah, actually, I really like to go into the physical classroom and to observe how those teachers apply gamification to engage their students. But due to the situation limitations, I cannot do that. So I have to improvise. Yeah. So yeah, I think I need, as a researcher, you need to realize that it is really, really important or unavoidable for you to make improvisation all the time because situation will not always like what you expected. Yeah, so.
This is a very interesting study, so maybe we can learn a lot from you. What kind of documents you want to observe?
I haven't been added to those online instructors courses, so I have no idea right now, but later, if I have observed something, I will definitely let you know.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
Hi,
Other
Jen, I have a
questions?
question.
Yeah.
You had listed on there multiple countries. Is there a expectation that you're gonna get a lot of lot of different countries in it for online courses, or is there a certain country that you were concerned?
Oh, yeah, sure.
The
So
cultural
thank you
views
for-
may be different.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, actually, I didn't list the details here. Because the first six. We got
Sorry.
I got this first 6 online instructors. These online instructors are recommended by Moa, and I'm not quite sure if she would jump in a few minutes. And she recommended me that you can interview the 6 online instructors first because they are the active instructors, and that it is highly possible for them to accept my invitation for the interview. So based on my memories, they're from 2 are from US, 2 from one from Rwanda, 1 from China, and another one from European countries. I cannot remember that very clearly. But yeah, so I think this is a good start because these online instructors' infographic background are diversified, which will help me to have a more broader scope of this interview scope or conversation with those online instructors. But yeah, I cannot make sure what kind of online instructor I can recruit for now, but I can only tell you that there's 6 these 6 online instructors are from 3 different countries. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, because I was wondering how culture would play in particular gamification piece. If it's more of a country that they're used to, say, assessments and testing, so points make more sense, or if it's a non-modernized country that gamification doesn't mean as much. Like if you say Rwanda, but when I think of gamification, US, yes, that makes sense. All right, thank you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Ed.
Other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, okay,
So,
Andrew.
yeah, I saw that your dissertation plan is pretty concrete, and I saw the timeline is very good. So that I really hope that the implementation and the IRB process go well on your study. So, when I saw your method part, you mentioned about the balanced sampling for gender and ethnicity, right?
Mhm.
So I'm just curious about, do you have any plans to explore more on the instructor's perspective regarding their gender or ethnicity?
This is not,
When I saw the research questions, there's nothing about those information, so
okay.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, I will share with you again. Yeah, that's a very good question.
Mhm.
So, by now, yeah, you can see there's no any plan for that part.
Mhm.
But I think maybe in the future, I will do some research concerning that part, because you see, as you collect those data, it will include all different kinds of resources or information. And you can just like you cook some dishes, you can just pick up those ingredients and to like you're following some recipes, but that doesn't mean that you need to use all those information.
Of course.
Maybe I just pick up some information that is more related to my research questions. But if I got lucky enough, I can also collect some data or resources about or concerning the issue of ethnicical perspective. I think I would just of course, I will use them, maybe, but for other papers or publications. But for this, I need to stay focused. Yeah, so yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, if I collect those information, I will just keep them and save them somewhere else for the future. But for this research, I just don't have any plans to use them.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, mhm.
okay, yeah, sounds good.
Other questions? So Chen, how confident are you in getting your subjects on a scale of 1 to 10 or a percentage of 0% to 100%? How confident are you right now that you're gonna get your subjects that you need?
maybe 5.
You're 5% confident, not, and 95% not confident, okay?
I mean, in a neutral position. I'm not very confident.
You're a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10, okay,
Yeah, not 10.
okay, Sanjay, how confident are you in getting your subject pool at this point?
I would say 80.
80%, and how confident are you in getting your subject pool?
I'm probably 50% if I can get through the barrier of my company. Once I
Right.
get through that, then I can easily get a good pool.
Okay. Matt, how comfortable?
I'm probably 95%.
Okay, he's got a captive audience, probably part of a grant or something, they're there you know, we're not working with the military, I think we can do whatever, we'll survey whatever we want. And they're gonna fill it out, we already didn't have to worry about attrition or anything, you know? So they were in the room, they were there for the day, and they're gonna fill them, oh, and that wasn't me saying that, the majors or the colonels were saying that. Shishi, how confident are you?
9.5.
9.5. So I think that one should not be 100% confident or a 10, and none of you are. Because things come up, you know, and you just don't know. And if you're overconfident, that could really mess you up too. So you gotta be alert to traps that may happen along the way, hidden things that come up. Bosses of bosses who decide your study's not viable or not in a corporate setting, they're not gonna endorse it, even though your boss said yes. So, you know, always be a little hesitant, but do try to get above 60%, 70% confidence that you will get your subjects. There are many studies where you start off pretty low in those expectations. Usually it's in a new area, you know, something no one has tried before, and so you can't tap into other existing research and ask them how they got their subjects. You know, which I've used as a ploy you can use to get subjects. I mean, once you have a research question, you get subjects, it's clear sailing pretty much the rest of the way. But it's always figuring out who am I gonna get for the study, or what am I gonna be looking at? And what add-ons am I gonna have? So really, this is a chance today to talk about that and to get some advice from others, maybe potential advice from others. So Chen, my suggestion to you, as you know, you've done a study already, right? And so I would share that study with those participants you've had before and say, here's what I'm looking to do now. I look at them, you know, a couple sentences, this is what I'm, do you have any suggestions for me? Thanks for participating in the first study. Here's the results. I've sent this off to be published, it's not official, it's just in review. But do you have any suggestions for me? Now, that's assuming those people are not gonna be your second part of your study, because you don't wanna bias them, and, you know, I wouldn't do that with potential subjects. But if they're not gonna be in study number 2, then you can tap into that a little better. Anyone else? Any other comments? I think we need to give Chen a round of applause. Really nice lead on. We need to give Ed a round of applause for being first. Thank you, Ed, for. We already give Karen a round of applause for coming back. She's in this class 2 times before. She's down in Houston Community College. Thanks for joining us again, Karen. And Clark Grice, your daughter, finishing her PhD at Stanford this week. And we give Rachel, her daughter, one more round of applause for that. And yeah, so we've got a little bit of news this week. So we should go to KJ. I think I said we'll do you next. So, and we've got Jill waiting in the admitted. So I'm sorry, Jill. I'm sorry, Jill. We're waiting. Some of you are waiting, Matt and Lena are waiting in the hallway for the door to open. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
It's a waiting day.
I think the people working maybe went home early today or something, you know.
They cannot, all those people, another people are just coming
Yeah.
with me,
Yeah.
because she couldn't open the door.
Open the door. Oh, just the door wouldn't open.
Yeah, that door is locked.
Locked, yeah.
It's a secret place today.
We were in a secret room today, yeah. The door is locked, you can't get in.
Closed me.
Yeah.
It's be the Eagles Hotel California, you can get in, but you can't get out, even worse, you know, everyone's gonna be trapped here for the weekend. So KJ, what do you have here? She's got exploring the impact of the integrated STEM AI curriculum. and human AI collaboration using generative AI tools in middle school settings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words that are 3 syllables or more. So that makes it's, but not too complicated because you have many short words too. So that's a nice title. I like that. You've got it pretty well set there. So
Yeah.
yeah, everyone's sorry. So Jill's joined us. She got in the secret passageway too.
I just so passing by.
There's Jill joining us.
And I tried to log in.
I'm sorry.
Virtually and physically, I was locked.
Good to have you here. Okay, so where's Sung Hee? I don't know.
No.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, thank you for the fancy introduction. So my topic is pretty maybe big. It seems like big, but it's not. So yeah. So my theme is exploring the impact of integrating STEM AI curriculum and human AI collaboration using generative AI tools in middle school settings. So the background of the study. So as you already noticed, the AI has begun to reshape K-12 education by providing interactive support, thereby improving the learning effectiveness. And teachers and students can employ human AI collaboration with generative AI
I'm sorry.
in teaching and learning.
Parents, so you know where your children are. Okay,
Oh my God.
the trap room, we got echoes coming at us, we got ghost machine.
So sorry.
Okay, the educational
Jill's
experience.
the troublemaker.
Personalized. And so the integrating human AI collaboration in K-12 settings could transform learning by providing some real-time problem-solving support for students that outperforms traditional methods like learning by themselves only or just human collaboration. So I found the four gaps in this area. So the first one is gap in student-centered human AI collaboration research. So much of the current research predominantly views AI interaction from the teacher's perspective, such as perception on using generative AI in their teaching. Oh, there's a typo, sorry. Often overlooking the student's experience. So we need more students' insight that explore how students interact with AI tools during the learning process to improve their learning outcomes. And the second challenge is that challenges in preparedness for human AI collaboration. So due to the unfamiliarity with AI, teachers and students often lack basic understanding of AI concepts and technologies, which hinders the effective integration of AI in their educational experiences. And there's some significant challenges in using generative AI, particularly responsibly and effectively in their educational experiences, with the issues related to lack of knowledge and skills, as well as the biases or the limitation of AI itself, like hallucination or giving some wrong information from the generative AI tools. And the third one is challenges in integrating AI into the school curricula. So teachers are already face multiple duties and pressures, making it difficult to adopt new topics like AI in their current curricula. And one of the optimal approach to address this challenge is leveraging the research practice partnership, which is RPP, by co-designing the integrated AI curriculum with the researchers. And then it could lessen teachers' workload. But there's still a resource constraint that teachers are lack of sufficient resources that to seamlessly introduce AI concepts into the STEM subjects or develop comprehensive AI curricula for middle schoolers. So there are some efforts to integrate AI into the existing curricula, but often fall short to provide a meaningful learning experiences in a middle school settings. And the last gap I found is that the need for AI literacy and prompt engineering in education. So for the effective human AI collaboration in students' learning experience, they need certain competencies like AI literacy or the prompt engineering. However, there's a notable shortage of research on teaching AI literacy or prompt engineering to students, which skills are crucial for proficient human AI collaboration. So students require these competencies to effectively utilize AI, understand its responses from the generative AI tools, and incorporate them effectively into their problem-solving tasks. So regarding these gaps, my research questions are as follows. So the big two questions are, how do middle school students engage in collaborative learning experiences with generative AI tools within an integrated STEM AI curriculum? The second one is, what are the impacts of those curriculum with the human AI collaboration for middle school students? So the small components of the research questions are, for what purpose do students employ generative AI tools in collaborative learning activities within an integrated STEM AI curriculum? And I also would like to track down their prompts, the quality of prompts. So how does the quality of prompts using those generative AI tools evolve within the context of learning those AI curriculum? And the last one is, in what ways does collaborative interaction with generative AI tools actually affect students' understanding and application of fundamental concepts in STEM and AI? And the follow-up question for the second big research question is that, how does AI literacy among middle school students change after implementing the integrated STEM AI curriculum with human AI collaboration? So my research design will be a quasi-experimental design with control and experimental groups, as well as an exploratory mixed method design. So I will use both experimental group and a control group. So the experimental group will engage with generative AI tools in their STEM AI learning, while a control group solely supported through just human collaboration only in the STEM AI learning. So maybe hope to find some differences between those groups. And also the mixed method design, using both qualitative and quantitative approaches, which enables researchers to make robust arguments based on reach context, as each data supports one another. So I will collect both qualitative and quantitative data. So this is the kind of overview of my data collection and analysis. So my main data source will be in-classroom videos and focus group interviews from the students, and also the prompt for using generative AI and their learning artifacts generated through the ChatGPT or the DALL-E, which is the image generator. And also I'm trying to collect the pre-post survey for measuring the AI literacy. So this is already adopted from the pre-developed items. So I will analyze those survey results by using mixed design MANOVA. And for the previous data sources like videos or the prompts or the learning artifacts, I'm going to use the integrative content analysis, which is using frequency of certain themes, and as well as their detailed themes using the qualitative approaches. So I will try to explore both frequency of the patterns, how students interact with those generative AI tools in terms of human AI collaboration, as well as their actual evidence of understanding by using the prompts or the learning artifacts. Yeah, that's my end of my presentation. So thank you. Any questions or comments?
Looks like Alicia has a question. Alicia, go ahead.
Oh, she need to leave now.
Oh, okay. I knew Ed's gonna be leaving in a second. Jill?
Yeah, and how do you know I'm interested? Yeah, because I'm very interested in your video recording because I use the same method as well. So I'm curious, are you going to code the behavior? So do you have any planned framework to code and analyze this kind of behavior?
Yeah, that's really a good question. So yeah, I'm thinking of both ways. So previously I mainly conducted as an inductive way. So
Yeah,
I
okay,
yeah
right.
collectively analyze the data and figure out some themes based on that. But I saw some articles that those kind of inductive thematic analysis or those inductive approaches pretty
Yeah,
weak, less rigorous. So I might use the predetermined code books or maybe developed the code books based on those related frameworks.
Yeah,
And then,
that's
yeah,
what
use
I-
those code books to, yeah, find out the patterns of the frequency of certain behaviors.
are you planning to, focus on any specific angles, framework, or, perspective for coding? Means such as cognition or motivation, I don't know, motivation could be absurd, problem, I don't know.
Yeah, probably I'm pretty interested in their understanding, so it might be, the framework might be focused on their cognitions about how they understand or apply those things into their maybe learning artifacts or their problem solving plans or something like that. So yeah, it might be focused on the cognitive approaches, but yeah, I don't have any concrete framework yet, but yeah, I will prepare that.
Very interesting
Yeah.
topic, yeah.
Just in case, yeah, that's really a good question. I mean, thank you.
Other questions? This is the topic of the day, isn't it? Everyone has interests here.
I was just
Comments,
wondering,
questions? Ed?
I was just wondering, is there a challenge finding, I guess, middle school programs that have STEM AI?
Ed, did you have a question or a comment?
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Hello, can you hear me?
You're muted, Ed. Well, maybe not.
No, I'm,
So one of my,
I have a-
oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Ed. Do you have a comment?
yeah, can you hear me now?
No, we don't.
You can type your question on the chat
I think
box if he already did, no.
He did say he'd leave in a few minutes. So-
Yeah.
Okay.
Does someone remotely just want to check, I want to check if I muted everyone's microphone by mistake. Karen, can you just say hello? Unmute and say hello.
I think it's freeze.
Are you guys frozen?
Karen is frozen, I
Yeah.
think.
I think you're right.
Hello, hello.
The
I mean,
Zoom is
that's
frozen.
Can you hear me?
Still.
Okay.
It's still recording on the my machine. I wonder if we've lost people. Can the people in the room put the headset on, just see if this is still recording? Can you hear me? It is recording,
I
okay.
just turned on my camera.
Yeah,
I can
okay.
see. Yeah, but-
Okay. Alicia left, maybe that caused it all. No. I'm just kidding. Karen? Hello, Chip? Kick you
Can you
off
hear
for
me
a
now?
second, have her come back in?
Check
Can you
one,
hear
check,
us, Karen? Oh, you're moving now.
check one, check, I
Okay.
can hear you, yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
I must
I
have
can hear
muted
you,
something
yes.
by mistake, because we can not hear you. Okay, I did touch some button, I'm sorry.
Are you?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
The impact.
I can hear you, Ed,
Are
but
you going to?
no one else can.
Yeah, I think us on the outside can't hear them. They can't hear us.
Yes.
Not mine.
There.
Comparing
They're-
It's
the,
not my machine, it's
speakers.
it's
yeah, so
this machine.
that's the reason why I did the proposed test thing.
Okay.
Yeah, for the.
So you were impact in the process of.
Where?
The AI.
Show me where on the.
AI
On the bottom.
literacy.
Literacy.
Oh, literacy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of
It's kind of questionnaire.
questionnaire, yeah,
Okay,
so.
cool.
a
So there
very
is
skills-
a very cool.
Yeah, those ones involve 3 dimensions, knowledge, I mean, the cognition and the behavior and the motivation thing. So, yeah. But that would be only
Oh, room 21-2 there.
part of the study, but because.
Oh,
Those
Okay.
questions, it's already been validated through the.
Okay.
Can you hear us, Karen?
Status.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Us, but we can't hear you, okay.
Right.
But that's okay, we can still run with this, because I think everyone remotely is presented. I don't see Luke's not here, Katie's not here, Tiana's not here, who else is there? Ed did present, there's a 5th person, EDD, I think, I can't remember who. But, so we just have Matt left, right? And Shishi's left, so the 2 of you. So Karen, I'll see if we can get this fixed, I'll run down and grab someone.
Okay.
But why don't we have Matt go next? And
And-
we give, KJ, I have a question for you. So she can't hear your answer, but she can hear it, we just can't hear it. Can you tell us, is this part of a larger project and are there other students doing dissertations from this? And when does the project last to? And can the project be canceled, thereby you would lose your population?
Oh, so this is not the part of the larger project, so this is, I just contacted through the certain teachers, middle school teachers.
Wow.
In a
Thanks, Ed.
indirect way, so they agreed on that, so.
Wow.
Of course, I met them in our project, but I mean, the bigger project, the AI Goes Rural project, but yeah, it's the separate one. I mean, the AI Goes Rural project will be ended and this semester, so yeah, no more bye-bye AI Goes Rural, so
Bye-bye.
yeah. Really sad, but yeah. So yeah, it's a different project. So if there's nothing, something bad things happen to the teachers or me, I think our population is pretty solid, I hope. So yeah.
How many, I mean.
Oh, it's about so 2 classes of the 8th graders, so it might be about 60
Okay.
students and 2 teachers,
Yeah.
STEM teachers.
Oh, Kenji, did you mention the instrument for the survey already designed?
Yeah, instrument is already developed and validated from the previous study, not my study, the other study, so I just adopted those items. So yeah, I personally contacted to the author of that study. That's actually, he's a professor from University of Hong Kong or something. So yeah, so he said, yes, why not? So he just gave me the items, the questionnaires.
Wow.
So yeah, he said it's.
He is surely pleased.
Mhm.
If
Yeah,
someone
and he also
would like
mentioned
to
that
find my.
he is really interested in comparing those
Yeah.
results. I mean, his basic, his main area is in China, Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Mine is in the
Yeah,
US,
it
so
will be a
compare
pleasure,
those,
huh?
results
Yeah.
might be interesting, so
Yes.
that's what he said, so, yeah. Interested on
Who's
that.
the he, I missed that part.
A professor.
Professor from the
in
University of Hong Kong, yeah.
So I mentioned Matt will go back, I think we did boy, girl, so we should go back to.
Sorry, I didn't say
You-
my question.
Oh, your
I have my
question,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, I was interrupted by the.
Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah.
I actually have 2 questions, but I think you mentioned about one of them. The first one is about how were the AI literacy measured by
Measured,
the
yeah.
students before and after curriculum
Mhm.
implementation?
So I think you mentioned just now about the questionnaire, so are you going to measure their literacy by the questionnaire? Or only by the questionnaire? Are there any other methods?
So literacy, yeah, mainly with the questionnaires, but I did I will do the follow-up focus group interviews from the students. So I will sample them maybe 6 to 9 students based on their performance level. I mean, low, high, middle. So I might ask something about related to the literacy things by using those focus group interviews, but yes, mainly through the survey.
Okay, so you will do the interview after the.
Yeah, after
questionnaire
just the
survey.
post interview.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's quite similar to my project. I mean, I'm doing the teachers literacy.
Oh, yeah, good,
using
good.
AI in China.
Yeah, actually, that's it. Really.
Questionnaire first and then the.
Oh.
Yeah, another question is about the STEM AI curriculum you mentioned. So who is going to?
Karen, can you still hear me? Karen?
Yes, I can. Yes.
So maybe I clicked up here with that muted us. Was that muted?
Yeah, it does.
Ah,
Okay.
so we're also hearing sound coming through here. Just real light. It's really weird. You heard it too, right? It's just me.
No.
What's that?
Vibration, maybe.
No, it's like, well, whoever's speaking, a real light, like a real light echo from who's ever speaking.
Just an echo.
Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah.
It's the TV itself.
Anyways, it's not bad. We'll deal with it today. It's
Okay.
fine. Yeah, this is the main thing. We can have the room. Mangwan, can you say something?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Great. I'll avoid touching that. If I do, I know what it is. Okay, thanks. Have a good weekend. Okay, sorry, everyone. We did get this resolved. So,
He didn't answer the question yet.
yes. I'm giving him time to get his collect his thoughts by delay. It's a delay tactic.
So that's a real good question. So I will code this. So I briefly mentioned about the RPP, the Research Practice Partnership. So I will co-design those curriculum with the teachers, so those 2 teachers. So they are really eager to integrate those AI things in their STEM subjects.
So before this or after?
Before this.
Before.
Yeah, so before this, we were having some small sessions for the co-design, and then maybe develop some 5 days curriculum, and then implement. So our main goal is, one of the main goal is just co-design those curriculum and integrate it into their classroom for a week. Yeah, that's.
So just a week curriculum?
Yes,
not a
because
whole semester.
that's the most days that they can endure. I mean, I would like to do more than a week. I mean, 2 weeks perhaps, but as I already mentioned, teachers already have many pressures on their burden. So yeah, I try to lessen their stress, but still, want to integrate those AI things. So the optimal option is 4 to 5 days curriculum. So yeah, that's only option that I got. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
They are very
generous and
I can understand, yeah.
So Mangwan missed that presentation, but can maybe stay for the next presentation and give feedback. Thank you for coming back, Mangwan, to this wonderful dissertation preparation class and giving us your wisdom here for maybe 1 or 2. And you saw Chen already presented.
Oh, hi, Chen.
So
Thank you for inviting me.
yes, thank you for coming back from week 2 in this semester. You're back in week 14/15 with us as the final class. Mangwan went through commencement a year ago, was it?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So
Last
it's
night.
like longer than that, but anyways, there were a bunch of people who, I think I had 6 advisees go through, or 5 of them go through last year at this time. I don't have any advisees this year going through, so that's gives me a break. Boy, girl, so we'll go back to Shishi and then we'll do Matta's cleanup. So Shishi, you want to tell us what your dissertation so far is all about?
Yeah.
You know, because it was different at the beginning of the semester. I think hers has gone through the most transformation of anybody, because I think what she's gonna present on was not at the top of her list at the beginning. It was maybe one of 5 options. But she had 4 options to start, and I think this is the 5th one, and this is what we're going with. So, exploring self-directed professional development, SDPD, among rural school teachers in China. Now, a few weeks ago, we had Charan Wong present on literature reviews and so forth. Charan Wong's dissertation is similar, I mean, not SDPD, but looking at rural schools in China, and so little bit of overlap, not extensive. And they know each other, we're working together, so on an AI project, or 2 or 3. So Shishi, you wanna talk about your dissertation or anything? You can talk about your other researches before you get into this, because you're doing other things.
I think for people who attend my dossier, they all know I have been working on self-directed professional development for Tango teacher in non-formal and informal setting. And now I switch my interest, not interest, it's the scope. Yeah, I will change to the formal teacher because firstly, I have experience teaching in rural China before, and you can see the photo, that's the first day we went to the rural area in Yunnan province. We drove like 5 hours into the mountains to get to the school. And in fact, we called those students who remain in their home in rural regions while their parents are away for work. And we call them like left behind children. And there are 40.5 million of them in China right now. So here you can see that's a photo of me and my student and other volunteers. And one important gap that we figure out in rural education in China is that
No, she's back there.
Yeah.
Green one.
Just show your face there.
Yeah.
Okay, she's going at the top, left. Okay.
Yes,
So young.
it was 2018 January.
Wow.
Yeah.
So meaningful.
So we found the gap. They have a lot of different equipment, and their equipment is even better than us in Shandong province. But the gap exists is the level of teachers' professional skills. And as I mentioned, the rural school we serve is like 5 hours away in the mountains and in the rural China area, and then they face so many different challenges than teachers in other areas. For example, they have limited resource and they don't have the governmental support like timely. And so those teachers, they usually have to rely heavily on their accumulated professional knowledge before when they were pre-service teachers. And also they have to self-produce some material to support their own teaching. And in fact, in my master's program, as a student in information science, 5 of my friends, we just decided to compete in a design competition, and our topic was on the rural teachers training, and we designed a phone app for that. So we at that time we surveyed teacher and interviewed like 11 teachers, principals, and also volunteers. Then we figure out many teachers, they have their mobile device, which is helping them to develop their necessary knowledge for teaching, even though there is a geographical isolation. So self-directed professional development is very critical for those under-resourced teachers to overcome those challenges and improve their teaching. I'm going to share some literature. So firstly, as you can see, one of the literature exists, exams the rural area teaching in Nepal area. They interviewed the teachers and try to understand what kind of strategies they use or materials they use to support their SDPD, which include print materials, the internet and information, specifically ICT, and then They also conduct action research themselves, and they rely on self-reflections, and also collaborate with other teachers. Some other research also suggests information networking and peer support are very important resource for teachers to self-support themselves and self-direct their own professional development. And John 2023 suggests that locating accessible resources such as OER is very important in the process of SDPD. Earlier study actually investigate Twitter as a tool for SDPD, and they found out teachers use the Twitter as a way to tailor their SDPD experience by self-selecting resource and opportunities through tweets and posts. It also provides a community for teachers that is welcoming and collaborative. As we review different literature, we found that existing research has been highly relied on semi-structured interviews, narratives, and self-reflections. And they also have a strong focus on English language teachers, SDPD. So this research, I want to shift the focus to those teachers in STEM education in rural schools in China, and giving a little bit context. In rural China, one teacher, they often have to teach different subjects. So some teachers, they have to teach math, they probably also teach Chinese literature. So I have 6 research questions. The first one is how rural K-12 teachers in China define professional development in their culture and educational context. How do they define SDPD? The second one, what are the norms and beliefs that impact Chinese rural K-12 teachers' attitude and perceptions towards SDPD? Then what is the impact of social relationship and networks in the local community influence Chinese rural teachers' engagement in SDPD? And what are some routines and everyday practice for SDPD? And what does the technology and internet access play a role in the process of SDPD? And also what kind of challenges and how do they resolve these challenges? So this research design is based on a qualitative ethnographic approach because we're trying to understand the SDPD in a Chinese cultural context. So we have to engage the culture, context, and social process as we observe and collect data. This approach has derived from a traditional anthropology side, and so it intends to provide a systematic and holistic review of the life or the living experience of people in the social setting. So it usually combine multiple data sources such as observation, interviews, documents, field notes, photographies, visual data, and other artifacts. So for the data source, I have a lot of established connections with the government office and also with rural teaching programs where I taught before and also have friends in those programs. So based on the connections and affiliations, I would adopt purposive sampling and snowball samplings to try to get those participants satisfied, match our criteria. So this is an overview of data collection. We are going to collect observation data because direct observation is the most important part of ethnographic research, and conduct interview with teachers, and we collect document and artifacts to triangulate our funding. And the analysis will be systematic analysis and also constant comparative analysis. So now get into some details. So for the direct observation, it's a way to capture the interpersonal interactions in a natural setting. And we would like to be there on site for 6 to 8 weeks to observe the daily activities, social interactions, and PD practice of those rural Chinese teachers regarding their SDPD. And we would possibly attend some PD workshops and informal discussions between rural teachers. They always have those like weekly meetings among all the teachers in the rural schools. And also we will observe their classroom teaching practice. For the interview is usually important to capture those attitude and perception questions that we cannot observe. So we will conduct semi-structured interview with those teachers to understand their perceptions, beliefs, experience, and practice, and challenge related to their SDPD. We're also going to collect document and other artifacts to triangulate our interview data and observation, and also provide us more contextual information. For example, we can collect the document from the government policy, and we can also collect those teachers' daily logs and also other documents that can tell us more about their SDPD practice. So as I mentioned, it will be semantic analysis and constant comparative analysis. So we are trying to identify recurring patterns and themes, and then to compare and contrast observation across different cases to further refine the categories. Yes, that's all. Thank you.
I've got several things, but we have a guest here tonight. I don't want to waste her time. We have a couple guests. Karen's here too, but Mengwan's joined us, and so she should be the first one that jumps in here. Mengwan.
Hi, I will ask Zizi a couple of questions. So Zizi, have you had any ideas about how many teachers will be involved in your study? I don't think I catch that part.
Oh, I expect to have 20 teachers from different schools across different regions.
Different regions, not just in one province. You mentioned Yunnan earlier, right?
Yes.
It's from the same province, but different areas of the province, I guess.
I tried to talk with Shaoran, who did the research in China for her dissertation as well. We figured out we both have teaching experience in different provinces. We found that the teaching experience and classroom setting can be very different. So I'm still under the construction of which province we should choose, maybe a couple of schools in that region, or should we focus on just one school, but usually the school is not big enough. It's probably only have 6 teachers in that school. So it's still under exploration, and during the summer I will do pre-dissertation research. I'm going back to China, go to those schools, and it could even be those rural schools in my own province. Small, accessible as well.
I see. Well, thank you. The other one could be a small suggestion. Earlier when you mentioned one of your data sources documents, you will do document review. I had that question immediately, what kind of documents this is going to analyze? And then you mentioned like government policy documents, training resources, right? Their daily logs. I think these are wonderful documents, data source to review. Maybe also include, since you are doing self-directed professional development study, so maybe some things could also be materials they use, they found themselves, right? To self-directed learn, develop their teaching skills and knowledge. Just a small tip.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Dr. Bang, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to ask a couple of questions.
Oh, sure. And maybe you can stay on for maths if you can't, I understand.
Well, I enjoy it. I will stay.
Okay, Matt, you have at least a captive audience here. Karen, did you have a comment or a question? You need to unmute.
Hi, Zizi. My question was, the sample size seemed huge for the type of qualitative analysis that you're going to do, what do you expect would be your time frame for completing this study?
That's a good question, and I also need to answer it in the term like of team setting, because I usually have a team to help me. And
Okay.
like 2 years ago, we started the Tango research. We interviewed 33 people. And it's been really expanded. We have more than 2,000 minutes of recordings. It's a lot of work. So I also need a really good team and to have people to support me on the analysis, and also it's a way to validate the finding with multiple researchers on the team. So I need to discuss with my teammates, and then we can figure out what's the most practical and feasible plan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, others? Questions?
Maybe I
Yeah,
have a
Lena.
question. Yeah. So Ziqi, I think your the presentations has a quite good thought. I mean, to maybe will have some impact on the professional development of the rural teachers in China. Because as we all know, I think you may also know that in China, in the rural area, they have kind of project, it's a national project.
Yes, I know.
The teacher, we call it 国培计划, you know that, right? But I don't think that one has a very good outcome for the rural teachers, because I also did one of the projects in my province in the rural areas, but I don't think that kind of workshop has a good influence. So in your perspective, my question is, what ways do you think that your research will have the impact on the policy or those practice regarding the professional development for the rural teachers?
I think firstly, it's not limited to rural teachers, because the findings, many teachers, they try to improve their daily teaching, whether if they are teaching in non-formal schools or if they are teaching just in city schools and in K-12 setting. But they always use WeChat as a way to connect with other people and share the teaching tips. So I think all the findings, whatever results they use and strategies they use, is generalizable to other teachers. Secondly, for the policy, I heard from my family member who work in the government for educational sector. They said they are like 课题组. So you can actually collaborate with those are like small research groups within the government setting. So they can initiate bigger policy impacting, they can impact the policy as more larger scale. Yeah, so I'm also seeking that opportunity to collaborate with other researchers.
Yeah, so I hope in the future we can have the kind of opportunity to collaborate with each other. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other comments or questions? This is again, one idea of about 5 she had, and then he evolved rather quickly. And it wasn't an easy decision going this route. It was a lot of contemplation, a lot of comparisons, deliberations. I have a few questions. You mentioned Twitter, 2014. You didn't say whether that's a study of Twitter in USA or in China, because I don't think Twitter's used in China, right?
Yeah, it's not in China.
Okay, I assumed it was not China. Okay, so second question or comment. You got 6 research questions. How many research questions you have, Jay? 4, 5?
4.
You had 5 earlier. 5, yeah. Matt?
2 with a couple sub-questions.
Okay. Shen?
Same with Matt, 2.
2 is some,
Major
that's right. Yeah, we got the sub questions. Ed's gone. One, how many research questions did you have?
I recall I had 2 to 3, and maybe some.
Remember that third one was kind of iffy thing, yeah.
Yeah. I think eventually I had 3.
Dr. Hickey wasn't so sure about that third one, I think, if I'm not mistaken. It's more practical, maybe. I'm not, something rings in my head there. So
Gotcha.
6 is a lot, but the way you laid them out, it's not a lot. I mean, it's very, so, and don't get overwhelmed with how many you have, but they tend to have, people tend to have 2 to 4, but you can have more, they'll let your committee talk to you at the defense. That's when they refine, committee members love to refine your dissertation questions. There's some faculty who definitely they focus on that at the dissertation defense side. I can almost guarantee it. I won't say names, but I mean, some people enjoy. And I start looking at it too. I was not really good with refining just research questions, but I've become better at it, I would say, over time, because I've been on 137 of these. So I know what's doable, what's not. So my other question is, do you need more contacts to do this study? Contacts in China? Or do you have them all lined up?
Yeah.
Yeah, what? Yeah, you need more, or yeah, you have them lined up?
I have them.
You have
Yeah.
them? Okay, you have a team. Is the team being paid?
Nope.
So you have a team that works without pay, do you feed them? Or,
Big up application basically.
Okay, all right. So she's learned how to publish by recruiting good team members and creating a community of focus. So as a graduate student, that's not normal. And if it is, it's with a grant behind. You've got small grants. You want to tell people a couple of little grant projects you've gotten?
It's so sad.
So what?
I didn't think about what's the most recent.
Tell all of
I
them.
don't remember. Let me see my CV.
So she's got little pots of money. And the organizations that you can apply to as a graduate student to tap into these little pots of money. Also, the IST department itself has little pots of money. She's gotten a couple of times a camp grant. Three?
Yeah, I actually got most of my funding from IST because I'm not a American citizen.
Right, and I think, Matt, you got a camp at one point, didn't you?
Yeah.
In Kanji, you get a camp? Yeah, so it's a small amount, maybe 1,000, 2,000, whatever, it can go a long ways. She has also gotten funding from the Open Education Foundation, little pots, 3 little pots. And we were able to pay for the data collection through that little pot of money. So there's a organization called Prolific, which lets you get survey subjects. You pay them a small amount, like a 25 cents for completing a survey or something like that, right? A small amount per person.
25
Cents. Yes, so you can get 1,000 people taking your survey and it will cost you
No,
$20
it
or $50.
depends on the length of the survey.
Right,
Because
right. I'm
pre-screening,
overgeneralizing.
it's just like
Yeah.
25 cents, but if we ask more questions, it's like
more.
$5, maybe
Yeah.
like that.
So just as making you all aware, there are ways to get subjects now that didn't exist 10 years ago. I used to have to pay an organization a couple $1,000s to get a list of like 50,000 names of like higher ed, high school principals, let's say. I pay for this list of high school principals. I'd send out a survey and only like 2% of that list would even bother filling it out. I'd be wasting a couple $1,000s. With Prolific, people decide and they opt in, right, to take it because they want to get the money. But you get a wide cross section. You can decide, right, on the cross section that you want to target. Is that true?
They have the screening,
Screening.
preset
Yeah.
categories, but it's usually not good, so we did our own pre-screening.
Other questions or comments? Really interesting. All these have been interesting today, so we have one more left. Let's see another round of applause. Send her an email saying, can you bring me to China with you? So Matt's last but not least, and so Matt, you want to share your screen with us?
Sure.
It's still being recorded. We're gonna be done by 3 in here. That's good. So integrating microelectronics in elementary school, teachers' dispositions, Matt Brown.
So, yeah, this is gonna be a very vague one. Recently, change the focus a little bit based on,
Yeah, I don't remember that title.
I was working parallel with the grant. Now it's going to be kind of integrated within the grants that I was working with. I'll talk a little bit more about
What was
that.
the old title, just so we're,
Teachers. Post. I don't even remember any.
what was it about?
It was focused on teachers' implementation of CS education.
That's right.
Particularly coding,
Yeah,
and how they motivated and engaged students.
so what prompted you to change topics like that late this semester? Because I don't think it was that long ago you changed, right?
No, this was just like within the last week. That's why
Okay.
this is gonna be very big. It's mainly because my advisors arranged for me to be able to access the data that's being generated by this grant, which is gonna be kind of a larger amount than what I could have done by myself.
All right,
So I'm giving up a little bit of certainty and control over the research and exchange, I guess, for guaranteed data, or 95% guaranteed data.
I forgot your advisors, Dr. L?
Yeah, Dr. L. And Dr. O is actually on the grant as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dr. O.
So I don't know why my computer is just sitting there clocking.
Sometimes we have to let them think. Skip button's not working?
Nope.
Okay. So now we have Shishi give us a tango dance lesson, well, no, or tap dance. Okay, sometimes you have to reshare. You can also send it to me on email, I can post it. Put it up if needed. Well, the technology's worked so far, most of the time.
I think it's, PowerPoint.
PowerPoint died. Sometimes you have to exit and come back in once you, exit the document maybe and restart that. We are not, and repeat, we're not meeting again next week. I'm just gonna be reading through your final tasks and sharing that. In my other class on Monday, we do meet for same thing, presentation stuff at 6 o'clock Eastern. There we go.
I won't go on the full screen, but.
Try it. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I had faith. Okay, Matt,
So
got the ghosts are gone.
originally I was going to do something with coding, but this grant deals specifically with microelectronics. So I need to really investigate that as educational content. But it's a field that's involved in the design and fabrication and use of tiny microelectronic circuits and components. And the reason why it's interesting here for education is it's a multidisciplinary field that incorporates engineering and computer science, among other things. And in particular for Indiana, there's a pretty massive push to create educational pathways for microelectronics, starting all the way down in elementary schools, all the way up through higher ed. So, and even here, see the NSF has had calls out for proposals for microelectronics research. And for this project, I'm going to be working with the Scale K-12 grant. It's a DoD grant out of Purdue. The project director is Dr. Tamara Moore. She works at the Purdue School of Engineering Education. And what this grant is about is developing and preparing teachers, giving them professional development and curriculum to teach engineering-based, design-based lessons that teach students about microelectronics. So a lot of their curriculum is based around the engineering design process. So I guess my interest in it here is really going to be focused on the teachers. And we know that teachers' dispositions really affect the way that they approach science in their classroom, their self-efficacy, their value beliefs, their pedagogical beliefs, their mindset, growth versus fixed mindset. And research has shown that that affects their teacher strategy, their decisions that they make in the moment. So their decisions on how they're going to deliver that content, engage the students, manage classrooms, assess those learning outcomes, in particular formative assessment. So, you know, would be in the situation decisions for teaching. So right now, research questions. What are elementary teachers' dispositions towards teaching microelectronics? So that includes their self-efficacy, value beliefs, pedagogical, and mindset. And then I was thinking, breaking that down based on the different disciplines within the microelectronics curriculum for engineering and computer science. And then what impact do those dispositions have on the teaching strategies that they employ in those teaching microelectronics lessons? So maybe a little bit more background on the project. From what I understand so far is they've worked with, or in this case, they will be working with the elementary teachers to design these lessons that are going to be integrated into different subject areas in their classroom: ELA, math, social studies, science. And all of them are going to be integrated like that. And so they're going to be given these lessons that are designed in conjunction with the people at Purdue. And they're also going to be given all the supplies and materials, microelectronics. So unlike maybe like in a more general context, there's not going to be as many barriers to them as far as resources go. The barriers for this are mostly going to be their preparedness, because the grant's going to essentially cover any of those kind of resource-related barriers. So what I know about this so far is that it's going to be with teachers recruited from elementary schools in southern Indiana. If you're familiar with the area, I think it's going to include Washington schools, Jasper, Lagodi, and maybe a couple others. And these lessons are going to be designed with the teachers coming this summer. So I'm trying to kind of get in on that as well, but I don't have access to that at the moment. And as I said, yeah, they're going to be provided with all of that information, all the resources. So I don't know yet whether or not this is going to be targeted to all of elementary, so the full spectrum, or is it just going to be targeted to upper elementary? So that's something that I need to find out. And also specifically what the lessons are going to include. And it's still questionable, I don't know. It's my understanding that I wouldn't be able to use the student data because the student data is going to be covered by Purdue's IRB. There's currently a separate IRB for IU's piece of it, so. So that's also one of the reasons why this is going to focus on the teachers. I'm not sure at this point I can access the student data. So for this, it's going to include teacher survey, interviews. There will be coaches involved, integration coaches. So we'll include an interview with them. And then video recordings of the lesson implementation as well as field notes. And then, as I said, they're gonna develop the lessons this summer, which will give me time to put together proposal defense. And then they're not going to actually implement these lessons until January. So I need to also check when the PD is occurring. Because it sounded to me like the PD was occurring over the summer. So that means that there will be a 3-month gap before they actually implement the lessons. So, and then after that, analyze the data. Dissertation defense by that following August.
A
So not
lot
much there.
coming together in 1 week.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get in touch with Dr. Moore, so I can get some more concrete details.
Which means there's a lot more.
Dr. Moore.
It's Miramar, right?
Probably.
Questions or comments?
I'm interested in your second research question. Because,
Jill says she's interested in the second research question, so he's gonna call those up here. And that is, what impact does elementary teachers' dispositions have on teaching strategies when teaching microelectronics lessons?
because your so-called disposition is associated with, for example, the self-efficacy, beliefs, and something like this. So I assume this could be probably ordinal numerical data, because it would be assessed by the questionnaire survey.
Yeah, I think there are several surveys.
I know,
Um,
but your strategy would be,
The,
would be
from the
nominal.
observation,
So
interviews,
how, I mean, how do
observations.
you associate with these two kinds of data types?
So, there's gonna be some triangulation between
Oh,
a survey,
Yeah.
and there's quite a few surveys out there in particular for technology integration that can be adapted, I think, to this. I don't know that there's, because microelectronics, especially at the elementary level, I think is relatively novel. So I don't know if there's any existing ones that cover that particularly, but there are
Yeah.
quite a few.
Because first of all, you have to define what strategies will they use or are they using? And then you have to probably think about how to analyze their association, relationship, correlation, I don't know, between them. Yeah, because they are probably belong to different kinds of data types.
Sure.
Probably you can use the frequency of the strategy. Yeah. So it's about your analytics method.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other comments? Yeah, Chen?
Yeah, I have a follow-up question based on Jill's question. So, when you use the word impact, I thought that would be some kind about the quantitative research or methodology, but later,
I assume it is, right?
yeah, impact sounds to me like quantitative, but not qualitative. Yeah,
Okay, I mean,
impact means you make changes.
I feel like it's more qualitative, but maybe that's just me.
Okay.
I think it matters. I think it could be qualitative.
Impact, to my understanding, impact mostly used in the quantitative, but I think it's interchangeable.
Mhm.
The word effect, that's more causal thing, so yeah, let's stick to the quantitative things, but I think the impact is pretty interchangeable words and expressions that can be used. But I was wondering if so you're kind of exploring the, how to say, association or the
Yeah, it's because,
between the teacher disposition and the teacher strategies, right?
Mhm.
And are you going to stick to those 4 constructs of the self-efficacy, value beliefs, pedagogical beliefs, and the mindset, or in my region.
It kind could be an SEM question.
Getting there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
right.
A little bit of confusing about how to actually measure or observe that, for example, teacher self-efficacy impacted on teachers'
Yes,
strategy in
strategies.
using
Yeah.
maybe assembling those microelectronics parts when they're teaching or something else, so.
Actually,
Might
it could
be.
be an advanced statistical problem. It will be very excellent
So
dissertation.
I was just wondering, do you have any specific image in your mind that the preliminary outcomes were?
Well,
I was just curious.
no, not really. From what I've kind of observed with, so part of what I've done on this project so far is they implement it at the high school level. So I've been involved with data collection for that,
Yes.
not the research, just the data collection. So I have my own personal observations of how that has gone. And speaking with the teachers, there's, so teachers feel somewhat unprepared for it. They feel like they lack some of the knowledge for it. And you can see that in their teaching, how they, kind of what they skip over. Because these lessons are actually pretty well scripted from what they have. But teachers are kind of making choices as to what pieces of the lesson they're going to utilize. So you can kind of see, from kind of what they don't feel as comfortable with or as confident in, by what they leave out.
So, okay.
I remember.
Why don't you stop the share, by the way? So
I
we can see it.
remember Dr. Baum introduced the guest of this week on Monday, and her research is kind of similar to yours, and she makes the qualitative and then quantitative data. So would probably would be very useful for your study.
Oh, Michelle's.
Yeah,
Michelle,
Michelle, yeah. That's a very genius research method. I have learned a lesson. Yeah.
So we skipped Mengwan. Sorry, Mengwan. I know you were taking notes, copious notes.
Oh, I'm typing actually. I'm thinking giving Matt some a couple of suggestions in the chat. I will just quickly say them. So Matt, in my understanding, teaching strategies could cover a lot, right? So you may want to define what teaching strategies covers, right? Teacher support strategies, or more teacher-centered activities, student-centered activities, teaching using technologies, online or in person, so I think, teaching strategies may need some further definition and scope down. That's a suggestion from my side. And then the other thing is your the sub question of the first question. It's my language or my knowledge in the area. I feel that question is a little hard to understand, so you may consider rephrase it. Just another suggestion here.
Thank you.
Yeah, teacher strategies are going to be important, and he's only been at this a week or two, so I don't want to push Matt too hard here, because he did a great job getting this far in this short amount of time, but it is going to have to be an area, maybe it's a derivative area, maybe it's something you do on a follow-up, maybe it's, I don't know, but this is funded, I'm assuming, right? And you're on the funding for this project, or you're on funding for a different project?
Yeah, I'll be on the funding for this project.
For next year, all year?
Yeah,
Starting next month, or?
starting in May.
Yeah, so, okay. Thank you, Mengwan. Anything else, Mengwan? Okay.
Not from my side.
Have anything there? No? So Matt, what does SCALE stand for?
That is an excellent question.
So I had the scale project before I came to IU, in my first 3 years at IU, is the social constructivism and active learning environments, the scale, we were building the scale.
Because it doesn't, to me, the title does not speak microelectronics. It is scalable, asymmetric, life cycle engagement.
I like my scale better, and the scale is scale. You'll see that word scale, other people have used this word scale, it's a common thing. I thought, oh, I coined it, this is great, you know? Nah, someone else had, another project with scale, and now I mean, I've seen this a lot. So it's just an acronym, you know? So it's a Purdue project or just Purdue influence project?
I think Purdue owns the DoD grant for it,
Okay.
so.
But Lethbridge is on the grant.
Yeah, I think IU's attachment to it was mainly to facilitate data collection here in southern Indiana.
Oh, in Southern, okay, that's the partnership involved. So that's why you're going down there, even though, do you have to report to Purdue as part of the project?
Yeah,
New people?
Yeah.
You have to drive up to Lafayette or no?
no,
All on Zoom?
it's all been, asynchronous.
Yeah, okay, kind of wondering. So my colleague Lin she was at UNT, University of North Texas. Now she's at SMU in Dallas. They're on my podcast show, she was on a couple of weeks ago. They're trying to create a semiconductor center, but she just got a major grant, I think NSF grant funded to work with kids in schools related to microelectronics. And so we might want to send her your pieces of your proposal or abstract and see if she could share some references back. That might help you, or at least chat with you a bit. And Linden's great. If you haven't met her at AERA or AECT, you should. She's the editor of ETR&D. Okay.
Oh, okay.
There's two editors, 2 or 3. She's one of the 2 main editors of ETR&D.
Very good.
Yeah, good to know person. So that's a way to get to know an editor by sharing your dissertation project. Because I think that I can't remember the exact title, but it was just funded like the week we had her on the podcast show. So she was on only a few weeks ago. So this is a new thing. And semiconductor is a proposed center, like $75 million center, which she could be hiring people in a year or 2 when you're ready to graduate. You know, it's that kind of thing. So Karen knows that area. She's in Houston. She's been to Dallas. We've covered a lot of territory today. We didn't have as many people present as I thought we would. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 9. I was hoping to have the others, but we're already at 3 o'clock. So you can see that these tend to be longer than 10-minute sessions, of course, and the little glitches here and there with technology along the way. But I really want to thank you all for coming in here for the final synchronous face-to-face meeting for this class this spring. My other class meets Monday, so both mine will be over. But we do need to send and put on the recording a little thank you. I want to just so I get this thank you official. I want to thank Vicki Lewis for getting us this room and many rooms. So thank you to Vicki Lewis for dealing with my constant change in the room. I want to thank everybody in both sections of this class for dealing with all the dates. I wouldn't have gone Tuesday night and Thursday and I'd have just done Friday afternoons the whole semester had I known the ins and outs. So next time I know better than to try and have 2 different dates every week. I want to thank all the people who came, like Mangwan and Karen, but Mangwan and Sharon and Merve and Mena and Zihang and Angeli the first week, Lurman. We had Hoizhang. We had Therese, who's now working in Switzerland.
Wow.
She was the first week coming from Grenada or,
That's cool.
So she just got a job. Her and her husband moved to Switzerland working for UNESCO or something. So really some cool. But we had Anna Paula Carrera from Ohio State. We had Hui Shi from Michigan State. We had a lot of different guests along the way. It's all regarding Sumei Sol, my former TA in this class. I have to thank her as well. She really helped me set the course up when I first, or what I did a couple years ago. So all the people who have been helped with this semester, I just wanna, I'm sure I'm missing some people. And so, Trina Paulus, thank you to Trina. I mentioned Sharon, trying to see, was there anyone else? Adam Mills from IRB was 1 week in here, which is very important for all of us. George Letsianos, now at the University of Minnesota, he'll be on my podcast show tomorrow at 6 o'clock on a special issue of a journal on the future of education or education models of the future. So I think that's all the guests that we had this semester. But it was a delight having each one in each week. And we've also got Sumin, who came and joined us. So thank you, Sumin, for joining us halfway through the semester. And Jill, thank you for coming, and Lena and Alicia and Sanghi, many visiting scholars in this class. I was really impressed with all your presentations. Each one has some issues you have to, in front of you, but you all they're pretty well laid out. I don't think your advisor is gonna call into question much in any of yours. And you should have clear sailing, for your proposals. But again, I'll read your final proposals in the coming week. I'll be getting those. I gave you to what extension date? I don't even remember now. Was it till Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday next week, something like that? It's Monday? Something like Monday. That was the other class. That's the other class. So does anyone remember the due date? Maybe we need to.
Remember.
Okay.
Inspectors, it was due next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a good date to me. I'll be in the midst of grading of everything. So anyone have a final comment to get on before we close this? Karen, you've been in this class 3 times in the past, counting this. You've attended these in the past.
Yes, yes.
So you make the final comment here.
Well, I just wanted to thank everyone for presenting. Their research. I know it's really, and thank you, Dr. Bonk. It was an honor to actually be a part of this class, and to continue growing as I journey through my degree. So thank you, and thanks to everyone who attended and presented their research.
Yeah, and I don't know when I'll teach this again, probably in a couple of years, a year and a half, but I don't know. I'm not on the docket for next year. So this is R795, week 14 or 15, the spring of 2024. Signing off. I'm gonna stop the recording at this point. Again, thank everyone for this, and maybe we all need to clap and get this on the recording. It's a way to end, okay? So that's a nice way to end this, and stop the recording.